Have you ever looked at a Washington quarter in your pocket and wondered if that ordinary-looking coin could actually be worth more than its 25-cent face value? Today on Hardest Penny, we're taking a close look at one specific coin that millions of people have handled without giving it a second thought, the 1994p Washington quarter. At first glance, it may look like nothing more than a common quarter from the 1990s. But when you examine its condition, strike quality, errors, varieties, and overall eye appeal, you begin to understand why coin collectors never completely ignore modern coins. So before you spend a 1994p quarter, take a few seconds to examine it carefully, because the difference between a normal circulated example and an exceptional collectible can sometimes be surprisingly important. 1994p Washington quarter. The 1994p Washington quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and the small p mint mark can be found on the obverse side of the coin, just below the neck of George Washington. The coin carries the familiar Washington design created by John Flanagan, featuring the portrait of America's first president. On the reverse is the classic eagle design that appeared on Washington quarters for decades before the major redesign that arrived in 1999. The coin is made primarily of copper and nickel over a copper core, giving it the familiar silver-colored appearance that most people associate with modern U.S. quarters. The first thing to understand about the 1994p quarter is that most examples are not rare. This is extremely important because online videos and social media posts sometimes make ordinary coins sound like guaranteed treasures. A normal circulated 1994p quarter generally remains worth around its face value. However, collectors do pay attention to exceptional examples, especially coins that have been preserved in unusually high condition or that display genuine mint errors. That is where your examination becomes important. When you pick up a 1994p quarter, begin with the date. Make sure the final digit is actually a 4 and not damage or discoloration that makes another number look similar. Next, look for the P mint mark beneath Washington's neck. Once you have confirmed the date and mint mark, examine the entire coin rather than focusing only on one small area. Condition is one of the biggest factors affecting the collectible value of a modern quarter. A coin that spent years circulating through cash registers, vending machines, and pockets can develop scratches, contact marks, dull surfaces, and worn details. These coins are usually common. Pay particular attention to Washington's cheek and jaw area. These surfaces can easily collect contact marks because coins frequently strike against one another during production, transportation, and circulation. On the reverse, inspect the eagle, lettering, and open fields. Large scratches across the fields can significantly reduce eye appeal, while a clean, sharp coin can stand out immediately. Another important factor is luster. Original mint luster gives an uncirculated coin a distinctive appearance when you gently rotate it under a light source. Do not confuse natural luster with artificial polishing. A coin that has been aggressively cleaned may appear shiny, but cleaning can actually reduce its collector appeal. For that reason, never polish or scrub a potentially collectible quarter. The best approach is to leave the surfaces untouched and allow a professional grading service to evaluate the coin if you believe it could be valuable. Now let's talk about mint errors, because this is where a normal-looking 1994p quarter can potentially become much more interesting. During the minting process, coins pass through multiple stages involving planchets, dies, striking equipment, and automated machinery. Occasionally, something goes wrong. Genuine errors can include off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die breaks, broad strikes, missing design elements, doubled features, or other abnormalities. However, there's a major warning here. Not every strange-looking quarter is a mint error. Coins can become damaged after leaving the mint. Someone may bend a coin, scratch it, grind it, flatten it, chemically alter it, or expose it to extreme conditions. These forms of damage are generally not considered valuable mint errors. For example, if you find a 1994p quarter with an unusual mark across Washington's face, do not immediately assume it is a rare error. It could simply be a scratch created during circulation. The same applies to strange shapes, discoloration, or missing-looking details. Genuine mint errors usually have characteristics that can be explained by the manufacturing process. One of the most exciting possibilities collectors look for is an off-center strike. This happens when the blank planchet is not positioned correctly between the dies during striking. The result could be a coin where part of the design is noticeably shifted toward the edge. The greater the degree of a genuine off-center strike, while still retaining enough identifying information, the more interesting the coin can become. Another possibility is a clipped planchet. This occurs when the metal strip used to create coin blanks is improperly punched, leaving a curved or otherwise unusual missing section. A genuine clipped planchet often has specific characteristics that help distinguish it from post-mint damage. Die cracks and die breaks are also worth examining. As dies become worn or damaged, cracks can develop in the die surface. When coins are struck, these cracks can transfer raised lines onto the coin. A dramatic die break can sometimes create a noticeable raised area, and unusual die varieties can attract collectors. The key word here is authentication. If you believe your 1994 P quarter has a major error, do not rely solely on a social media comment or an online marketplace listing. Consider having the coin examined by a knowledgeable numismatist or a reputable professional grading service. Authentication can be especially important when someone claims a coin is worth thousands of dollars. Another factor is grade. Professional coin grading uses standardized numerical grades to describe a coin's condition. Modern coins can sometimes exist in extremely high grades because many were preserved soon after minting. But high-grade coins must meet strict standards. A coin that looks perfect to the naked eye may still have tiny contact marks, imperfections, or other issues that prevent it from reaching the highest grades. This is why you should use good lighting and, if possible, a magnifying glass. Examine the coin slowly. Look at Washington's hair, cheek, jaw, lettering, date, mint mark, and the reverse design. Check the rim for unusual features. Rotate the coin under light, and look for consistent original luster. Then inspect the edge. While the edge of a 1994 P quarter normally looks ordinary, unusual edge characteristics can sometimes provide clues that deserve further examination. You should also be careful with exaggerated claims about specific values. A coin being old does not automatically make it rare, and a quarter from the 1990s is not automatically worth thousands of dollars. The actual value depends on factors such as rarity, condition, demand, authentication, and whether a recognized variety or genuine mint error is present. Still, this is exactly why searching your change can be fun. You do not need to assume every quarter is a hidden fortune. Instead, you're learning how to recognize the details that separate ordinary coins from unusual ones. The 1994 P Washington quarter is a perfect example because millions of normal examples exist, yet collectors can still become interested when exceptional condition, unusual varieties, or authentic errors enter the picture. Imagine finding a 1994 P quarter that looks dramatically different from the others in your collection. Maybe the strike is clearly off-center. Maybe the coin has an unusual die characteristic. Maybe it has survived decades with extraordinary preservation. That is when the investigation begins. You compare it with normal examples, photograph the details, research recognized varieties, and, if necessary, seek professional authentication. And remember, never clean the coin before doing that. Even if it looks dirty or unattractive, the original surface may contain important information. Cleaning can leave scratches and unnatural surfaces that permanently affect collectability. So the next time a 1994 P Washington quarter passes through your hands, don't automatically toss it into the spending pile. Check the date, confirm the Philadelphia P mint mark, inspect the condition, study the strike, examine the rim and edge, and look carefully for anything that appears genuinely unusual. Most 1994 P quarters will be ordinary, but the entire point of coin collecting is discovering the exceptions. So take out your 1994 P Washington quarter and give it one careful inspection before spending it. Look closely at every detail, compare it with a normal example, and never let an exciting claim replace proper research. If you enjoy discovering unusual coins, subscribe to Hardest Penny because there are always more dates, mint marks, varieties, and potential errors waiting to be examined. Your next interesting coin might not be hiding in a museum or an expensive collection. It might be sitting right inside your pocket. What if the next quarter you pull from an old collection, coin jar, drawer, or even your pocket is not just worth 25 cents? What if one small detail on that coin could make collectors stop and take a second look? Today on Hard as Penny, we are examining the 1990p Washington quarter, a coin that millions of Americans have probably spent without ever wondering about its history, condition, or potential collectible interest. At first glance, this quarter looks completely ordinary, but serious coin collectors know that the real story is often hidden in the smallest details. The date, the Philadelphia mint mark, the quality of the strike, the condition of the surfaces, and especially any genuine mint-made error can make a major difference. So before you spend a 1990p Washington quarter, take a moment to examine it carefully, because understanding what you have is always the first step toward discovering whether it is simply pocket change or something more interesting. 1990p Washington quarter. The 1990p Washington quarter was produced at the Philadelphia Mint and carries the small P mint mark beneath George Washington's neck on the obverse. The design is the familiar Washington quarter design that collectors immediately recognize. Washington faces left, while the inscriptions Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, and the date surround his portrait. On the reverse, an American eagle appears with its wings spread, surrounded by the inscriptions United States of America, E Pluribus Unum, quarter dollar, and other traditional design elements. The 1990p quarter belongs to an era when the Washington quarter was still being produced in enormous quantities for everyday commerce. Because of that, an ordinary circulated example generally does not command a dramatic premium simply because it is from 1990. This is one of the most important facts to understand when searching for valuable coins. A coin could be several decades old and still be extremely common. Age alone does not determine rarity. But that does not mean you should ignore the 1990p quarter. Coin collecting is all about details, and modern coins can become collectible because of condition, errors, varieties, and exceptional eye appeal. The challenge is learning how to distinguish a normal coin from one that deserves additional attention. Start your examination with the date. Make sure the numbers are clear and that there are no unusual characteristics around them. Next, locate the P mint mark beneath Washington's neck. The mint mark confirms that the coin was struck at Philadelphia. Once you have confirmed the identity of the coin, turn your attention to its overall condition. Condition is extremely important. A circulated quarter may show scratches, dirt, discoloration, flattened high points, and small contact marks. These signs are normal for coins that have spent years moving through the economy. A quarter that has been carried in pockets, placed in vending machines, dropped on hard surfaces, or stored loosely with other coins can accumulate significant wear. An uncirculated example is different. If a 1990p quarter has never been used in everyday commerce, it may retain much of its original mint appearance. The surfaces can have strong luster, the details can remain sharp, and the high points may show little or no friction. However, even an uncirculated coin is not automatically rare or extremely valuable. The exact grade and quality still matter. One area worth examining closely is Washington's cheek. This broad area can show contact marks very easily. Under magnification, you may discover tiny marks that are difficult to see with the naked eye. These marks can affect the grade of a coin. The hair above Washington's forehead and the details around his ear and jaw should also be examined. On the reverse, look closely at the eagle, lettering, and open fields. The fields are particularly important because scratches and marks can be highly visible across flat surfaces. A coin with clean, attractive fields may have stronger eye appeal than another important feature is luster. Hold the coin under a light source and gently rotate it. An original uncirculated coin can display a moving reflection across the surfaces. This effect is sometimes called cartwheel luster. That brings us to one of the biggest mistakes new collectors make: cleaning coins. If you find a 1990p quarter that looks dirty, do not immediately wash, polish, or scrub it. You might think you are improving its appearance, but cleaning can permanently damage the original surface and reduce its collector appeal. If you suspect that your quarter may have an unusual variety or error, preserving the coin exactly as you found it is usually the safer approach. Now let's talk about mint errors, because this is where the 1990p Washington quarter can become much more interesting. During the production of coins, blanks are prepared, dies are installed, and enormous numbers of coins are struck. With such a complex manufacturing process, errors can occasionally occur. One type of error collectors watch for is an off-center strike. An off-center quarter can show the design shifted noticeably toward one side because the planchet was not properly positioned between the dies. A minor shift may not create much collector interest, but a dramatic and genuine off-center strike can be significantly more desirable. Another possible error is a broad strike. This can occur when a coin is struck without the normal collar that helps contain the metal and maintain the proper shape. The result can be a coin with an unusual expanded appearance or distorted edge. Clip planchets are another type of mint error. If the metal strip is punched incorrectly when blanks are created, part of the coin can be missing in a distinctive curved shape. Genuine clips often have recognizable characteristics, but it is important to distinguish them from damage that happened after the coin left the mint. Die cracks are also worth watching. When a working die develops a crack, but here is where caution becomes extremely important. Not every strange mark on a quarter is a mint error. A scratch, dent, flattened rim, discoloration, or unusual shape may have been caused after the coin entered circulation. Coins can experience decades of contact with other objects, machines, tools, chemicals, and the environment. For example, if you find a line running across Washington's face, it may look exciting at first, but if that line is recessed into the surface, it could simply be a scratch. Mint-made die cracks are generally raised on the finished coin because the defect was present in the die. Understanding this basic difference can help you avoid many false error claims. The edge is another area that deserves attention. Hold the quarter sideways and examine the entire edge for unusual characteristics. Compare it with another normal Washington quarter from the same general era. Differences can sometimes reveal whether something unusual happened during production or whether the coin has simply suffered post-mint damage. Collectors should also remember that professional grading can make a major difference when a coin is potentially exceptional. A high-grade 1990p quarter with outstanding surfaces may be more desirable than an ordinary circulated example. But professional grading is not automatically necessary for every quarter. If your coin is clearly circulated and shows no unusual characteristics, its value may remain close to face value. The most important thing is to research before making a decision. If you believe you have discovered a rare error, compare your coin with reliable reference photographs and descriptions. Look for examples of authenticated errors rather than relying on exaggerated internet claims. If the coin still appears unusual, consider having it examined by an experienced numismatist or professional grading service. And there is another reason the 1990p quarter is worth learning about. It teaches an important lesson about modern coin collecting. You do not have to find an extremely old coin to discover something interesting. Even coins from the late 20th century can contain unusual production characteristics, and some can survive in remarkable condition. Imagine opening an old jar of quarters and finding a 1990p that looks almost untouched. You hold it under a bright light and notice strong, original luster. The details are sharp. The fields are relatively clean. The rims are well formed. Then you discover an unusual feature that does not appear on normal examples. At that point, you have something worth investigating. It might not automatically be a fortune, but it could be a genuine collectible discovery. This is why patience matters in coin hunting. Do not look at a quarter for 2 seconds and throw it aside. Give a proper inspection. Check the date. Check the mint mark. Study the portrait. Examine the lettering. Look at the reverse. Inspect the rim and edge. Search for unusual die characteristics. And most importantly, compare what you see with known examples. For viewers of Hardest Penny, the biggest message is simple. Knowledge is more valuable than hype. A 1990p Washington quarter is not automatically a rare jackpot just because someone online claims that every example is worth thousands of dollars. Most ordinary examples are common, but an exceptional coin with a genuine mint error, recognized variety, or unusually high grade can deserve much closer attention. So the next time you receive a 1990p Washington quarter as change, don't spend it automatically. Put it aside for a moment and look closely. You may discover nothing unusual, and that is perfectly normal. But if you find something that genuinely stands out, preserve the coin, avoid cleaning it, document what you see, and seek professional guidance before assuming a value. Remember, every great coin collection begins with someone who decided to look twice. That ordinary-looking 1990p quarter could be just another piece of pocket change. But the search itself is what makes coin collecting exciting. Here, at Hardest Penny, we are always looking beyond the obvious because sometimes the smallest details tell the biggest stories. So check your quarters, study your dates, protect your unusual finds, and never underestimate the possibility that an overlooked coin could become the most interesting piece in your collection.